Hello everyone, I am Kiran Joshi. Hope you all are safe and sound. Here I am presenting the third video of class 9 geography chapter 3 drainage. Children, in the previous videos of this chapter we learnt about the meaning of drainage, different drainage patterns, some differences between Himalayan and peninsular rivers, and about the river systems of the Himalayan rivers, the Indus river system, the Ganga river system, and the Brahmaputra river system. Now let's learn about the peninsular rivers. In peninsular India, the Western Ghats are the main water divide. The Western Ghats run from north to south close to the western coast. The Mahanadi, the Godavari, the Krishna, the Kaveri, the Narmada, and the Tapi are the major peninsular rivers. Among these, the Mahanadi, the Godavari, the Krishna, and the Kaveri flow eastwards and fall into the Bay of Bengal. And before they fall, at their mouth they make deltas. Children, mouth of a river is the place where the river enters the sea or the ocean. Though several small streams flow to the west of the Western Ghats, but Narmada and Tapi are the only long rivers that flow westwards and make estuary. The peninsular rivers have comparatively smaller drainage basins. Now we'll learn about these rivers individually. Let's begin with the Narmada river basin. The river Narmada originates in the Amarkantak hills in Madhya Pradesh. It flows westwards in a rift valley to reach the Arabian Sea. Children, rift valley is a long, steep valley which is formed when two parallel rifts form in the earth's crust and the land between them sinks. There are many beautiful places during the course of river Narmada, such as the marble rocks near Jabalpur. Which is shown in the first picture, and the Dhuandhar Falls, which is shown in the second picture. The tributaries of river Narmada are short in length. Most of the tributaries join river at right angle. The drainage basin of river Narmada covers the parts of Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat. The government of Madhya Pradesh has undertaken a mission to conserve the Narmada river with the name Namami Devi Narmade. The important west flowing river is the Tapi river. The river Tapi originates in the Satpura ranges in the Betul district of Madhya Pradesh. It flows parallel to the Narmada river in a rift valley. The meaning of the rift valley is already told to you. The length of river Tapi is much shorter. The river basin of Tapi covers parts of Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, and Maharashtra. If you look at the map, you can better understand the concept. You know it that between the Western Ghats and the Arabian Sea lie the western coastal plains. This western coastal plain is very narrow. Therefore, the rivers of the western coastal plains are short. The main rivers among the western coastal rivers are Mahi, Sabarmati, Bharatpuzha, and Periyar. Can you tell the states which are drained by these rivers? Mahi and Sabarmati I have marked, so it is easy for you to guess. Yes, these are the states of Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, and Kerala. The another river basin is in the peninsula is the Godavari basin. The Godavari river rises from the slopes of Western Ghats in the Nasik district in Maharashtra and drains into the Bay of Bengal. With the length of about 1500 kilometers, the Godavari river is the largest peninsular river. The Godavari basin is also the largest drainage basin among the peninsular rivers. It covers the states of Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, and Andhra Pradesh. From the total drainage basin area of the Godavari, almost 50% lies alone in Maharashtra. Many tributaries join the Godavari river, such as the Purna, the Vardha, the Pranhita, the Manjara, the Venganga and the Penganga. The Manjara, Venganga and Penganga are quite large rivers. The Godavari river is quite long and covers a vast drainage area. Therefore, it is also called the Dakshin Ganga. As you know, the Ganga basin is the largest river basin in India. Now let's learn about the Mahanadi river basin. This river rises in the highlands of Chhattisgarh, drains the parts of Chhattisgarh, Maharashtra, Jharkhand and Odisha, and finally reaches to the Bay of Bengal. The Mahanadi river is about 860 km long. The next river basin is in the peninsular region is the Krishna river basin. The river rises from a spring near Mahabaleshwar near Mumbai in Maharashtra. With its length of about 1400 kilometers, it flows through the states of Maharashtra, Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. Some tributaries of the Krishna river are the Tungabhadra, the Koyna, the Ghatprabha and the Musi and the Bhima. Children, the map here shows the Krishna river as well as most of its tributaries. I hope you can see them. Another important peninsular river is the Kaveri river. Let's learn about the Kaveri river basin. The Kaveri river rises in the Brahmagiri range of western Ghats in Karnataka. The total length of this river is about 760 kilometers. After draining parts of Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu, the Kaveri river reaches the Bay of Bengal in south of Kudalore in Tamil Nadu. The Amravati, the Bhavani, the Hemavati, the Kabini are some of the tributaries of the Kaveri river. The map here provides the complete course of the Kaveri river. I am sure you must have heard the name of Jog Falls, the second biggest waterfall in India. This waterfall is formed by river Kaveri. The hydroelectric power is generated from the Jog Falls, which is supplied to Mysuru, Bengaluru and the Kolar Goldfield. So this was about the major rivers of Indian peninsula. Besides these rivers, there are some other smaller rivers which flow eastwards. For example, the Damodar, the Brahmani, the Baitarni and the Subarnarekha. Try to locate these rivers in the map provided. This was about the Indian rivers and their drainage basins. Besides the rivers, there are also many lakes in India. These lakes are not only a great attraction for tourists, but they are also useful to human beings in many ways. India is rich in regard of lakes. That means there are many lakes in India, such as the famous Dal Lake of Kashmir and the Lake of Nainital. The lakes in India differ from each other in size and in other features. For instance, while most of the lakes are permanent, some lakes are seasonal that contain water only during the rainy season. Such seasonal lakes are found in the basins of inland drainage of semi-arid regions. Some lakes are formed due to the action of glaciers and ice sheets, while the other lakes were created by wind, river action and human activities. There are oxbow lakes about which we learnt in the first video of this chapter, that they are formed when loops cut off from the meandering rivers. The first picture here provides you the image of oxbow lake. In the coastal areas, spits and bars form lagoons. For example, the Chilka Lake, the Pulikat Lake and the Koleru Lake. The second image of here is of Chilka Lake. Lakes in the inland drainage area are sometimes seasonal. For instance, the salt water lake in Rajasthan called Sambhar Lake. Look at the third image that shows the Sambhar Lake. The water of this lake is used to produce salt. Some of the freshwater lakes are found in the Himalayan region. They are formed when glaciers had dug out a basin. Later the basin was filled with snowmelt. But the Vular Lake in Jammu and Kashmir is not of glacial origin. This largest freshwater lake in India is formed by the tectonic activity. The beautiful image in front of you is of the Vular Lake. Besides the Vular Lake, there are some other important freshwater lakes such as the Dal Lake, Nainital, Bhimtal, Loktak, and Barapani. So far, we have learnt about the natural lakes. Besides, there are artificial lakes which are formed when dams are built on rivers to generate hydroelectric power. For example, Guru Govind Sagar on Bhakra Nangal Dam. The image before you shows very clearly how big this lake is. Whether natural or artificial, lakes are very important and of great use for humans. With the help of an artificial lake, the flow of a river can be regulated. It is useful to prevent flooding during heavy rains, and when it is dry season, it is useful to maintain an even flow of water. It is also useful in generating hydel power. In general, the lakes moderate the climate of the surroundings. They are helpful in maintaining the aquatic ecosystem. They make a place attractive and enhance the natural beauty. Thus, are a great help to develop tourism. They provide recreation there through many water sports and water activities. Now let's understand the role of rivers in the economy of the country. We know that from the very beginning of the human civilization, rivers have been of great importance. Water from rivers is a fundamental resource which is essential for various human activities. Hence, the human beings had started settling on the river banks from ancient times. Now, those settlements have grown into big and important cities. Among the many uses of river water, irrigation, navigation, and hydropower generation are of special significance in India, as agriculture is the main source of livelihood for most of the people in India. But the increasing demand for water from rivers for domestic, municipal, industrial, and agricultural purpose has affected the quality of water. Due to the growing demand, more and more water is being drained out of the rivers, which has reduced their volume. A huge amount of untreated sewage and industrial effluents are emptied into the rivers, due to which the quality of the water is badly affected, and moreover, the capacity of the river of self cleansing is also reduced. We can understand it with the example of river Ganga. If the stream flow is adequate, the Ganga water can dilute and assimilate pollution loads within 20 kilometers of large cities. But due to the rapid increase of urbanization and industrialization, the rivers are not able to perform self cleansing process. Thus, the pollution of many rivers has been increased. This rising pollution in our rivers has now become a matter of great concern. That is why various action plans to clean the rivers have been launched. In 1985, the Ganga Action Plan was launched. In the year 1995, this Ganga Action Plan was expanded to cover other rivers under the National River Conservation Plan (NRCP). The main objective of the NRCP is to improve the quality of the water of the rivers by implementing the work of reducing or decreasing the pollution. That's all for this chapter, children. Now there are some questions for you to revise the topic. So first question is, name 4 east flowing peninsular rivers of India. Explain any 2 of them. Second question is, how are most of the freshwater lakes in Himalayan region formed? Give 2 examples of freshwater lakes of this region. Third question, what are the causes of water pollution in rivers and lakes? And the fourth question is, suggest any 3 measures to control the river pollution. If you found this video helpful and wish to watch more of such content, do consider subscribing to the channel. Also, if you have any queries or comments, please post them in the comment section below. Thank you, children.